Oh, awesome. Yeah, so can we get started here, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're in quite a unique space, in a male-dominated arena. What first drew you to rugby and, more importantly, commentary?
Yeah, rugby. I think rugby came to me rather than I went to it. I mean, I was the tomboy in the family who played rugby with her cousins in the street and stuff. So it was always kind of just growing up, just a hobby of mine that I just did with my cousins and my family. They're big rugby lovers, so there was always rugby in and around the house. Gio Aplon, Western Province from a player, he's a family friend of ours. And so it was like we'd engage about stuff and about rugby, and so he was like probably a really pivotal person in the rugby world, and that I was able to see and kind of like learn what goes in and around a rugby game. But I was actually a cricket player, and so I had to make a choice between cricket and rugby. And then I became Marty's then ended up offering me like a part-time kind of scholarship to kind of took over my studies. So I was like the first female to receive support for rugby at Marty's. And then from there, that kind of made the choice easy. I loved kind of the camaraderie and building something and drawing women to a sport that's not necessarily the kind of sport that you would want to see women in. And that was like a really, really big part of like fueling my fire and realizing this is something that you could actually do with your life. Broadcasting kind of came afterwards, when I kind of realized when I was at the Bulls, I kind of realized like I'd done everything and kind of what was next. Got into a couple of conversations with people, and someone who had a streaming site had said, I should just come and do some commentary for the games. Ended up really loving it, like not realizing that that's going to be something I was going to do. And then long story short, went to Supersport, had a conversation with Robbie Kempston. He introduced me to Arthur Corza at Supersport, and Arthur ended up taking me to Ongeziwe Zondani, who's one of the producers at Supersport. And then, kind of just, shot my shot and said, if there's, a woman you need in rugby, like this is, I found this love for being on screen and behind the screen and stuff. And if my dog's quickly doing something, if if you need someone, give me a call, give me a shout. And it was about 2 weeks later where she said they just started a new series, and is that something I'd want to be a part of? And I came on as a guest, and that kind of built into commentary and now anchoring and presenting, which is really cool.
Wow. Were there any sort of commentators that you looked up to growing up?
Well, so the big one, female wise, the big one was Kass Naidoo, because I was a cricket player. She was like the first female that I saw in the men's world. But then, when you were watching Varsity Cup or whatever, Katualo and Matsudisi Mohono were obviously the women in rugby at that time, in terms of a presenting space, that I looked up to for rugby specifically. But Kass was 100% like, the injector and the instigator in seeing that there is a woman in commentary, a woman on screen in this male sport. And it's really cool to be able to know her, see her in and around these spaces, and knowing that she was pretty much the reason why this was even a consideration.
Awesome. And do you remember your first game?
Yeah, 100. First commentary game for Supersport was Springbok women taking on Zimbabwe at what's that? It's not Athlone Stadium. The one next to it, also in Athlone. I'll get to the field name. But anyways, went in there. I thought I was coming in as an analyst, because that just made sense to me. Anyways, walked up there, and then I ended up having to be the lead for that game. So it was like the first time I'd had a director in my ear, the first time I'd learned about counts. Like I had no idea what any of these stuff were. The first time I worked with a commentary box with knobs that you could turn and you could hear different things. So it was, I think if I have to go back and listen to that game, I think it would be very rough because I was kind of just, I was actually physically guessing my way through it. And I can't remember who the director was at the time, but I remember the director saying, like, does she know that you have to stop talking when we get to one? Like, I heard him ask someone that. Yeah. And then I think I stopped mid-sentence and then they just kind of went to break. So it was really, really rough. But I wasn't fired. Sorry, my dog seriously wants to sit on my laptop. I wasn't fired after that one. And so, you know, Ungi came back. It was a full 10 days in Cape Town where yeah, I'd kind of done those games. And you learned on the job very, very quickly. And then straight after that, I went into my first Craven week, which is the that is where you get trained, where you get feedback, you're told how to do things. And so that, I think, really helped and molded and shaped me because it was really rough during that women's incoming series, because was always the good one.
I mean, with also with school rugby being so big in broadcast days, I mean, a lot of youngsters can sort of come through right from there.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I mean, I always think Craven Week is going to be a special tournament for me because you go on this journey with the players that start at school level. And so, you know, there's like so many of these players that you get to see today who you remember like calling their names at Craven Week, you know, and kind of just going on this journey with them, seeing them at junior Springbok level, under 21s, and then, you know, watching them go into the Currie Cup system and seeing what they can do there. Like, you really do go on this entire kind of cyclical journey with them, and hopefully get to, you know, call their name at a Springbok game, which is what so many of my colleagues get to do, is they go on the journey from Craven Week all the way to Springbok level. And now that's kind of, you know, the system that I'm in and the journey that I get to see, it's such a rewarding feeling to be able to say, like, oh, like, I saw this dude at under 18 Craven Week, and now I get to see him play as professional.
Awesome. Can you just tell me about, you know, the moment you found out you were going to call a Springbok game? You know, how did you feel?
Yeah, so last year I was able to be a part of the Rugby Champs from a presenting point of view, and, you know, that comes with its own set of you know, challenges, etc. But I wasn't as big a part because I was in the second zone, so you kind of just go in and out. Okay. But then this year when I'd heard that I was actually going to be up in commentary, we've got like an Excel spreadsheet, and I saw my name there, and I at first I was like very confused because I was like, I don't think that's right. I think they've like got it confused and they've just put my name up, because the first one I saw was anchoring was the Barbarians game. I will be deadly honest with you, the anchoring the Barbarians game, about 5 minutes before live, I looked up into the stands and I saw my parents, and I got emotional. I was seriously emotional. I was deadly afraid. And I was standing at DHL Stadium, the second tunnel. So, you know, like the main tunnel, and then there's the second tunnel. I'd looked down there and I realized, I was like, if I run away now, like, absolutely nobody's going to know. I was like, no one's going to know that I'm supposed to be there. And it was my own imposter syndrome. I was afraid I was going to mess up. You know how many, it's the opening of the Springbok season. You know how many people are watching this game.
Sure.
But we got through it. But it was when I saw that I was going to be up in commentary, and realizing that I was going to be the first female in English commentary to be able to go up there. Like, it's so much pressure, but you're so lucky that you get to be able to do it. You're so lucky that I'm very lucky to be a part of, you know, like Vili's 100th. It's one of those incredible moments that's going to be etched in like South African memory forever. And with privilege comes all of that pressure, and it's so lucky to be able to do it, because I say to people, like, I think of it as though I'm still a rugby player. So I go out every single weekend fighting for my jersey per se, And so it makes me want to be better every single time, because I know that this space doesn't belong to me, and it can be taken away from you as quickly as that. So you have to go out and be better than you were the week before, with its own pushbacks, with its own, you know, criticism that you're going to get out of that. But yeah, it's a very cool, privileged position to say, like, this is what I get to do now, and hopefully when more women step in to say, I did a good enough job, that they allowed other women in.
Yeah, the next question is sort of, it's along that line. I mean, you spoke earlier about Kass Naidoo being one of your idols. I mean, I'm sure, like, a lot of kids watching rugby now, they look up to you. How does that feel, knowing that, you know, maybe in the future, girls and young women will,
you know, for so many years of my life, I wasn't happy with who I was as a person, and parents and children at school and in, you know, the beginning phases of uni came to me, and they're like, you know, you're such an inspiration, and you're, you know, we want to be like you. And I always felt like I didn't deserve that, because I wasn't living who I was truthfully, and I was hiding parts of myself, so I wasn't being an authentic human being. And I like to, I want to be the type of person that gets to live her life with authenticity, you know, and as true as I can. And I finally think I've got into a space where I am doing that. I'm unapologetically who I am. That's how it's going to be. Whether you like me, you're going to like me, you're not going to like me, you're not going to like me. It's that. But at least when I know now, when people come to me and say, you know, like, this is a career we want to pursue because we see you, then we see you doing, I can fully accept that, because I'm doing it authentically, and it makes me want to work harder, so that you don't mess it up for those kids that want to come through. And that's the mindset I go in every single weekend, is you can't mess it up, because if I mess it up, I block a pathway for so many more people. And I've always wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. I wanted to be the scream when other people are whispering. And so I have to continue to do that, and be good at what I do, so that I can be that voice for the voiceless. And that comes, that's incredible. And I'm very lucky and fortunate that I get to be that person.
Awesome. And you know, we still live in a society where people hold you know, negative views, sexist views. How do you deal with the pushback from, you know, people who feel that commentary should be, you know, like a boys' club?
Yeah, so that was I think that was the whole Springbok season, right? That was what I kind of had to fight through for the whole Springbok season. Truthfully, honestly, there was a day or two where I kind of thought, like, is it really worth it? Like, is it worth going through it? Because unfortunately, I've been in the space for 3.5 years, and for 3.5 years I've had to deal with people saying this, you know, and what I had to realize was, the people who think you're good, the people who think you're doing a great job, aren't going to go and tap you on the back and say well done, or comment, or have things to say and tell you you're great. The reason the negativity is so loud is because it's negativity. That's all you are seeing. There's, like, I'm not taking the yeses so personally and boistering it up so much, but the no's and those voices are very loud, because those are the ones who are speaking. So I had to change the way that I thought about, you know, what people are saying. If people are saying she's annoying, what is she doing there? This is why women shouldn't be in sport, or in the game of rugby. Thank goodness that's all they're saying. Thank goodness they're not saying she's a terrible person. Thank goodness they're not saying, you know, she's inauthentic. She's not, you know, she's telling a lie. She's bad at her job. Because none of those negativity things came at me for what I was saying. I was saying exactly the same thing my male counterparts would be saying, it's just because I'm a woman saying it, they don't like hearing it. We'll get there. And I understand, because I'm the one that's breaking the ceiling, someone's got to have the pushback. Someone's got to kind of take the flak. But realizing that which they're saying is, just their own personal feelings, but they're not coming at the work. They're not coming at, I'm saying something wrong. I can handle that. That's okay. It's when people start saying like, oh, she made a wrong call, or oh, she did that. That means I haven't done my job good enough, and I need to be better for the next. And as long as there's just talking about my personality or talking about the fact that I'm a woman, that's fine. I'm in a good space now where I'm kind of like, the small group of people that support me, those are the voices and the mentors that I listen to, and the rest is just noise.
Yes, it sounds like it's a tough journey you're going through, but you go through it with pride, and you're quite strong.
Yeah. You've got to be. You've got to have a tough skin in this industry.
Yeah. And then what advice would you have for young women, who hope to follow in your footsteps?
My only advice to them would don't take the first no or the first rejection as the final no. Keep going, keep pushing. If I had to listen to all the no's that I got leading up to this, I wouldn't be here today. But I've worked hard. I continue to upskill myself, and I've found a way to make myself feel deserving of the seat at the table. And that would be my advice to them: is continue to upskill. Don't take no for an answer, and keep pushing back, because me to our mods, we're fighting to have you have a seat at the table, but you've got to earn it, and you've got to show why. And I think what's good with us as women in this country is we want to clap for each other, barring the one or two others, but we want to be there, and we want to support each other. I think that's a completely different. We've got a completely different viewpoint about how potentially the male counterparts would want to do it, because it's a pure fierce competition. And yes, although we are competitive, we realize that there's a place under the sun for all of us, and we're doing it for the next. So once you've earned that seat at the table, continue to work hard and upskill yourself so that you maintain that, but you open more seats for more women.
Awesome. And then just a general rugby question. A lot has been in terms of women's rugby. The way the game is seen today, it's a different place than how it was seen, say, 5-10 years ago. Do you think there's still room for more improvement from SA Rugby's part, or?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. We're miles and miles behind. We are. We are leap years behind where we should be, which is sad because we're a rugby nation. We have to actively become more involved in making sure we've got younger girls joining the system. We have to start at a younger age, whether that be through clubs, through schools, through junior competitions. We have to get our girls playing at a younger age. And I feel that that's where SA Rugby needs to push harder, is making sure that we convince the principals, we convince the rugby coaches to allow women and girls at a younger age to start learning those skills. I only started playing not professionally, but semi-professionally at 19.
Wow.
Way too late. I'm already developed, I've already kind of decided how I'm going to do things. Yes, you can coach and you can become coachable, but at the age of 19, it's too late. We need to have girls playing with the rugby ball at 6, 7, 8 years old, learning those finer skills, so that by the time they get to 19, they can potentially sign a full-time contract with the Springbok women for 10 plus years. And we need to keep that system going. So in terms of what they've done in terms of sponsorship and commercials and getting brands and companies involved and sponsoring the Springbok women, That's a big plus, and we've come such a long way with that, because what they've done is, if you want to sign with the Springboks as a whole, you've got to sign with everyone, which is incredible. And now we need to start implementing all of this from a younger age to make sure we've got that pipeline growing. My dream to see a Craven Week. We've got the under 16, under 18 youth weeks, which is being served as the Craven Week. But I would love to have a women's Craven Week competition, where the best of the best out of the schools get selected and is competitive, so that, you know, then we start playing at SA Juniors or an SAA schools, you know, SA schools team that then goes on tour, and we start developing all-round athletes from a younger age.
Sure. I mean, the other day I saw an Instagram post from one of the England players.
Yeah.
Where she said that, you know, she started playing when she was like 9 or 10. And that's how, like, you know, if you look at them, they're like
100%. That's why the England's, New Zealand's, Canada, Australia's, France, that's why they're the top 5 in the world at the moment, is because they understood that from a very young age, and they've done so well to change the perception of what women's rugby is in their countries, respectively. And unfortunately, South Africa still has this very old way of thinking about rugby and what rugby should be. And we have to start actively, as media, as fans of the game, as people who are just involved in the outer skirts, we have to actively start changing what the perception of women's rugby is in the country and painting a good picture for it. And I'm hoping that after this Women's Rugby World Cup, we gain more followers, but that we gain followers who stay, and not just followers who pitch up every 4 years, but followers and fans who want to watch the game grow, see the game grow, and then contribute to the game growing.
Sure. And then hopefully one day there'll be a, you know, Springbok women versus Black Ferns game in front of a, you know, full house.
Absolutely. No, 100%. That's the biggest dream. I get goosebumps. I got goosebumps this weekend working the Black Ferns 15s game and seeing how many people came up for that final game. I think that's the most people that's probably come out at Athlone Stadium to see the Springbok women play. So we are growing, we are getting there. We just have to actively start buying into this idea, because I don't want the Springbok women to be playing a test match before the Springboks play a test match. And I walk in there early, so I know the fans are there. I see the fans are there. They're busy braaiing outside, but they don't make it into the stadium. So they're at the stadium, but they don't come in and sit in full seats. And so how do we change them so that they come there, braai early, but they come and fill the seats for that game, and then in the build up to the men's game. So we've got a long ways to go, but I think we are getting there slowly. And the more conversations we have, the more we get people to shine a light on what the Springbok women and what women's rugby can do and be in the country. It's incredible. I love the post that they said, we should be having a rugby champs for the women. It's like that should be happening. We have to play more international tests. We have to play more rugby so that the public knows this is something that's happening. We have to be playing the Black Ferns. We have to be playing the Wallaroos. If we want to get Argentina involved, get Argentina involved, so that there are more tests that are played, so that we can grow the pool of players that we have. We can increase our depth, and it can become really competitive.
This player from the United States, Ilona Ma, she's been big in getting the game, the women's game, recognized around the world.
Yeah, no, we need more people. We need more people, players like that, who aren't afraid to use their voice almost obnoxiously. Players who are, unapologetically proud to just, get out there on social media and say what they need to say. As South Africans, we're incredibly humble. We don't love, having the spotlight on us. We don't love being loud and boisterous, but we have to get to a point where we are speaking more actively and we are more vocal about what is happening in the country, where we are as a country, and calling people out and calling fans out on it and forcing people to look us in the eyes and watch our game.
And what does a successful World Cup look like for the Springbok women?
I've said it. I've gone on air saying it. I've put my reputation on the line saying it. A successful World Cup for the Springbok women will win your first match at a Rugby World Cup. We've never won a match at a Rugby World Cup. That would be the first thing. And then I've gone on air to say I think this is the year that we make our very first quarterfinal.
Okay.
We've never made it out of the group stages.
Yeah.
And then I think if we can make it out of the group stages, I think we're on a very dangerous path, but a very